Well, here we are again, and this is the third in my series of arm styling. So my first video we looked at the technique behind arm styling, making sure that you've got the motion in the body that then transfers through into your arms. So making sure your styling comes from the core, from the body, not from your hands or your arms. So make sure you go back and watch that video first. Then I've also done a video on key points of the body to try and then come up with your own arm styling. And so you go and check that one out to help you develop your own Zouk style and feel authentic to yourself on the dance floor. But if you're struggling with that and you still need to have a few more options in your toolkit, then this is the video for you. So I'm going to work through 4 different types of arm styling that you can use for different types of music. The 5th one I already did in my first video, and that's the flow arm, which you can use whenever you open out and you have a spare hand, as long as you have torsion in the upper body to create the arm coming across and out. So for example, opening into lateral, you have from lateral to open, you have the torsion that brings the arm across. Cool, so that's flow arm. If you want to have a little bit more of a breakdown of that, head back to the technique video. Second arm styling that I do quite often is a really simple one. This is called what I call the wrist flick. It's just a and around. So I use, this is when my hands is already in the air, 2 hands or 1 hand. And I do clockwise. Clockwise, I take it from middle finger 6 o'clock all the way, clockwise? No, anti-clockwise, yeah, clockwise. It looks different when it's above your head. Clockwise, all the way from what here would be 12, all the way back around to the 12. So the move that I use this in most often would be simple turn, returning to lateral. So for example, if I'm in lunge position, ready to do simple turn, so the arms come up, notice the wrists come first, and then as I do my turn and I'm coming back to the leader, I just do a flick of both wrists and then to come back into basic. The reason I do this is because it's a really nice way to accent something in the music that you hear, that there's nothing in the dance that is an expression of that. So quite often you have songs which have another maybe snare drum or something on the second chick or the and, so it might be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So the and, there's a drum or an instrument or something, and it's really nice to just snap the hands around to give expression to that. And again, from lunge, open, flick, flick, and. When I go back into basic step, I've come from here, I don't reach for my leader. I've done my flick and I leave the arms behind as my body comes forward to try and find my leader. We want to aim at trying to connect with the body first, not necessarily the arms. So yes, often we have arms and then the body comes in, but in this particular move and most of the time when you're dancing simple turn into lateral, you're wanting to try and aim to get this first. And then the arms can actually connect by the and count. So facing this way to be 1, 2, snap, 3, 4, and. It's like my arms still float in behind me and then they connect as my body starts to move backwards. It's just a little extra pointer for you. So that's number 2 of 5 or 1 of 4 with the wrist flick to accent the music. Next one is a spiral. So this one, I pretty much first did this when I was dancing salsa. It's a very popular salsa arm. If you've never done it in salsa or never done salsa, then here's the breakdown. So it's a spiral out or a spiral up. spiral out or a spiral up. So what's happening here is the body is initiating this movement of this in. So I don't know if you can see, there's a little torsion to get the hand to come in. But in this one, as opposed to the flow where we had a lot more torsion, this one is a little more contained, depending on the move. So here we go. I've got fingers pointing up and I've got wrist facing out until I get to shoulder. Actually, let's do the one out to the side. Until I get to the shoulder, and then I switch the wrist to the front and then push it out to the side. So the switching of the wrist is really important to your styling. You have to find the precise moment to make that fast switch, and that's what's going to make the move look effortless, look flowing, and look like you can't really tell what happened. So if you got her arm out there, but you don't really know how, and you want to watch again. So we come up using the body. When we get to the shoulder, so the fingers are all the way to my shoulder here, I switch really quickly and then push out with the wrist. Up with the wrist, switch and out. Making sure the lats are engaged so that it's not a karate chop out here. See how the fingers, if I karate chop, my fingers stay straight and there's nothing happening in my body anymore. Yeah. And make sure that there's energy still traveling from body, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and then to the fingers. And I still have a relaxed arm, nothing is locked. When nothing is locked, that means that what can happen when you go into your next move is you can finish that extension there so that your arm is still in motion when you're moving into the next step, and that looks really nice. So it's a spiral. I always have one gammy side. Everybody always has one gammy side. So this was my right, my left is not as nice. What's happening in the fingers? Go back and watch the technique video. It's all about that transfer of energy, making sure that you're not thinking about the fingers ending up out there, thinking about the body, sending some energy. So that's out to the side. You can use that anytime you have a spare arm, but most, again, that same lateral to open. So your the leader is letting go of your right hand, say for example, 1, 2, and so the timing, I'm going to do it this way. 1, let's go 2, 2, and the arm comes in as the body completes the rotation. That's where you get the torsion to bring the arm in. 2, and so to be 1, 2, and 2, and can be a little slower. If it's 1, 2, and just like I did before, then you've got nowhere to go when you take your next step. So make sure it's 1, 2, and 3. Make sure when you're practicing, you're thinking about the next step so you can leave that hand behind, leave the arm behind, and leave the body behind a little bit longer as you're going into the next move. Now that's taking it out to the side. The same move can come up to the top. So this time we change the wrist. Wrist comes up here like a flower scooping, and then you change the wrist when you're at your ear. So it's like you are tracing the shape of the woman through the center of the chest, around the face, around the head. So there's your spiral. Beautiful. Back of your hand, the back of your hand goes along the side of your face. Then you switch it, and the back of your hand runs up from your ear to the top of your head. Here, here, wow, here, switch. Left arm's always a shocker. Here to the ear, switch. And you can leave it up or you can take it out, whatever works for you and whatever the move is. Spiral, that's spiral. So that's number 2. Number 3, oh, here's the wrist flick. So there's lots of versions of this going around at the moment with all of these crazy wrist switch things. This is the one that I find the easiest to do without feeling like I'm going crazy. From arms overhead, cross the wrists. So start wrists together, cross them, and switch and open. So I'm going to show you the move that I would do this in if I was in basic step, and then the leader leads me into a turn from basic step. Basic, I'll show you again. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5. Here, here. So what's happening? If we do it in front of our faces, I cross my right over my left, but you can go either way. Here our palms are facing each other with soft fingers, and we switch to the wrists and the other way, so the palms are facing away and then open. So wrist travel in, cross them over, switch, switch. 1, 2, 3, open. They start with your right, with one hand on top. So for example, you've got your right on top, you change your wrists together, now your left is on top and open. 1, ba, 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 and you want to try and get fast with it, so you can be slow, open back out. This one's really cute if you're got a funk song and you can then accentuate something cute in the music there. The other reason why I like that one is because that move is so popular now. If I was leading that move, I'd be in basic step, and I'll hold my feet. It's the gauche dorsal. I'll hold my footwork, bring the follower in, she steps here, and I wrap and then turn and then collect again. So I call it the yummy turn because it's gauche dorsal, yummy. So the arm styling that I see the most from followers is just up and switch. So we're just adding another element to that switch. Instead of coming up and just changing and coming back out, we're coming up, we're changing around our wrists and coming back out. Simple as that. Making sure the shoulders aren't coming up, making sure the fingers aren't too, yeah. You know, you could probably do this with a little bit more energy in your fingers. This is up to you to watch in the mirror and see what you like in your body. And now final one, this is one that I've just been playing around with to see if I can make it feel nice for me, is something that is used a little bit more for poppy songs, hip hop, something where you want to accent, and I would think maybe you need to have, you want to have both hands free for this. So for example, you could be, when the leader's in front of you, doing some hip movement, hip isolation, and you've got both hands free, instead of just having them here or here, we can accent the movement, accent the music. You can whatever. So the leader might be doing one certain thing with your hips. You hear something else, you can then use your hands to show that, express that music. So I would say fingers need to be together for this. It's a quick flick of the wrist, trying to keep the rest of your arms still. So you kind of look like a flapping bird if your arms start moving. So you want to try and keep the arms really still.